So, any lessons learned? Well, you had a question when we were doing our speaker call. But things that you think you would have done differently, or you think if I were talking to a new compensation committee member, here's what I would warn them about, or share as an experience.
Yeah. Lessons learned the hard way.
The hard way. Lessons learned the hard way.
So I would say from my perspective, most of the lessons learned the hard way come down to process. We talked a little bit about process on consistently reviewing incentive plan outcomes and so on, but not properly preparing the committee for big decisions by socializing things early. Don't surprise the committee with even the most banal program change or decision. If you show up and it's the first time they've seen it, the committee's default assumption is you're up to something, right? I mean, I've seen stuff go sideways on things that just didn't seem like a big deal. And you really need to provide a couple of meetings for committees generally to come to decisions. And as a member of a committee, especially as the chair of the committee, taking the time in between meetings to poll the committee members and talk about controversial topics before you get to the meeting where you have to make the decision. So that by the time you get there, the only questions that are left are just a few things to tie up. Everybody knows what the committee thinks. So, and selfishly, when that goes sideways, when process goes sideways, we're the first ones to be.
That's your fault. It's Meridian's fault.
It's gotta be your fault.
It's all. But no, that is true, man. Now that you mention them, as an audit committee chair, just sort of compare and contrast, right? You know, typically stuff goes out, you go through it, and everybody kind of knows what the questions are going to be. It's around a disclosure, around an accounting issue, but it's not necessarily controversial. You know, you can wrestle it to the ground in a meeting. Because the compensation is so personal, particularly if you have executives in the room, oftentimes when you're doing it, it's virtually impossible to wrestle an issue to the ground in the meeting.
Right.
And so you have to start early.
Right.
And you're right. I mean, you know, what I find is before any comp committee meeting, I've had 4 meetings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've had 4 meetings, at least, you know, with the consultants, with the internal guys, you know, and then separately, have to sort of flag to the rest of the committee, here are the things that we're going to have to talk about, here are the potential, speed bumps that we're going to hit, and smoke out those issues so we can talk about it in advance, and then you sort of saucer and blow the decision making before you get in the meeting itself, and it seems like it just goes much smoother.
I so agree with that, because if you don't, one of my boards has everybody sit on every committee, so it makes it a little more challenging, but still, you can do it. You can get through it all, but if you call them all before and just walk through everything with them, and by the time you get to the meeting, then it's done, and that makes it much nicer.